most people reflect upon the history of stoner metal and stoner doom metal, it's hard to not bring up Acid King, who were a sort of, I think, Chicago area to Bay Area transplant that went from the hardcore punk scene to the psychedelic doom metal scene, and uh, helped to create what became a pretty staple genre these days. Now, they put out a lot of records, and the most famous ones are the earliest ones, of course. And that isn't what this latest one, Beyond Vision, is. Beyond Vision is a collaboration between, I believe, one of the main members of Black Cobra, who it's a doom sludge metal band that are just definitely not the usual Acid King type band. And so it's been interesting to sort of compare past works and see what's Laurie S. here, the main kind of protagonist of Acid King, what she's brought in terms of maybe a little bit more of a laid back style, a more layered style, and where you can definitely feel her signature and that heavy psychedelic rock influence sound that had been so captivating in the 90s and for the most part in the last 2 decades intermittently. Um, that we get, like you might hear some of the jams of Three. You might hear some of the strong guitar work from Bus Woods, which is kind of an important album for Acid King. And we get some of the more experimental moments from Middle of Nowhere, Center of Everywhere back in 2015 on this record. So, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll just go to a song here, and you can sort of get an idea about like this is a much more laid back record than you might expect if you were already a fan.
Step into the mind's eye.
So my first thought was that there's like a little bit of earth in the way that some of these songs build, and just focus on the riff. And there's also maybe, just maybe, a little bit of like a Neurosis esque, or like a late early 2000s feeling to the easier movement of these songs and the way they layer in their not quite industrial but still synthesizer inclusive sort of instrumentals. And they're that's the thing about this album. There's a lot of instrumentals. There are a lot of pieces that are interstitial, that are part of the journey. They want to take you from point A to point B, and they don't want to sing a catchy song in your head the entire time. I appreciated that until I came time to start. How do I sell this record to other people in terms of like, why would you want to listen to it? Well, you'd have to be into those instrumental points, and I know that a lot of people aren't unless you are fully invested into the psychedelic side of stoner music. So this does end up having to be a moderately high recommendation, even though I think they've hit most every point for what I would want from a new Acid King record. And maybe that's me burying the lead a little bit, is that really the the sort of spirit of this band is to go somewhere new each time, to show you where they've been and to go somewhere in the interim so that they come back with a new record that sounds different and has been somewhere else. And this is very much that. It's probably further than they've gone between releases in terms of something new, something different. But this is a good step in a different direction. And it comes with mostly a full staff of people doing new things, but all of this is good change that, it might not seem as substantial in terms of lyrics or just getting more from point A to point B in terms of theme and all that, but uh, it's still an enjoyable ride in a way that some of the other Acid King records felt a little tormented, on purpose even. So this is a different prospect and one that's worth checking out if you're a fan of psychedelic doom metal and stoner doom metal and adjacent. So much more detail in the review. Go check that out and go listen to the album.